You're listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast. This is a special episode featuring a recovering addict. Hi, my name is Sophie X. I'm the host and producer of the Voices of Recovery podcast. I'm joined here today by Timmy.
Hi.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Thank you so much for doing the readings for the Just for Today and
Of
for the SPAD.
course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and for kicking off our new year.
Oh my god, yay! I forgot.
Yeah, and congratulations on 3 years.
That's insane.
That's amazing. You got to
Thank
read on
you.
your clean date.
Yeah, that was really cool.
What's cool is that I just kind of randomly pick themes and topics and like I'll place people without like actually knowing their clean date and then I'll be like, "Oh, he's reading on his clean date. That's perfect."
Power like
For
fixed it up
real.
for us.
For real. Yeah, that happened a few times in my first recordings when I first started the podcast. So, I'm glad that you were able to do that and you're on our special series of Rainbows in Recovery.
Ooh.
Ooh, taste the rainbow. For me, it's important to highlight this topic because the gay community has been stigmatized so much with drug usage.
Mhm.
And as addicts, we know what that's like. We suffer the consequences of our addiction. Our health has been impacted. And so I wanted to have you on the podcast so that you could talk a little bit about your life, how you came to recovery, how being a gay man has impacted your life in general, but also as an addict.
Being gay, I found out I was gay when I was like, I guess the average age when you find out your sexual orientation. I was like 12, 13, right? And in summary, being gay at a young age was the reason I felt other, right? I wasn't the outsider. My coming out story was not great. It wasn't horrifying, but it was still traumatic enough, right? Like my mother was crying, my dad was upset. All the telltale signs of like, oh, this is not a great coming out story.
Mm-hmm.
And what that told me as a child was, oh, the person that I am is not loved, is not
Mm.
accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So to be loved, I have to put on a mask. I have to be a different person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for like years, I paraded out as being straight. I was so in the closet, you could wave to me from Narnia, right? Like it was so.
Did you put yourself back in the closet?
At the time, I never came out publicly. It was my parents found out,
Mm.
and that was like a soft opening at a restaurant. Oh, it went terrible. Let's shut down the restaurant
Mm-hmm.
immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that just meant like, hey, no one can know. No, and if you do know, you are telling everyone a lie, right? Like it was soft opening of the restaurant. It was just shut it down. And if you found out, well, I just made sure everyone thought you were a liar. I looked back at myself at that time, as most of us do often, and I'm like, ew, I would not hang out with me, right? Like it was just I was so self-deprecating at the time. But as like an adult and a member of recovery, I see that person. I'm like, oh, you poor baby, you don't
Compassion.
know, right?
Yeah.
Compassionate. Like I just wish all the things for this child, but at the same time, I know that if I didn't go through those experiences, I wouldn't be who I am today,
Right.
right? So, being gay in a very Christian household, right? It's my father was like akin to a priest, let's say. And at the time, I had a very strained relationship with my dad. Um, but today it's a lot better, right? I love my father. He loves me for who I am. And it took me a while to realize the things that he didn't like about me being gay was nothing about liking men. It's all the things that usually come with that, right? And it didn't help that I felt like I couldn't talk about my experiences or my feelings as a gay man, as a child, right? So like if my sister or my brother have a crush on someone, right, it gets brought up and like, oh, what do you like about them? Like, oh, let's talk about dating. Like all those conversations never happen for me.
I can relate.
Yeah.
You
So
can't bring
like
your whole self to the table.
right. Only the things that are accepted can be brought to the table.
Right.
Um and so I had to figure those out the hard way. I had to learn about those things through experience, and they were not great experiences,
Lack of
right?
support. Right.
No support, finding out, stumbling without the ability to like stand up afterwards. It was so crushing that like my confidence as a person started to deteriorate. Like I didn't think I was attractive for a very long time.
Aw. and you're so beautiful,
Thank
Kim.
you. Me and all of my shiny glory. I know I'm not conventionally attractive, right? Which is fine. Who the
What?
fuck cares?
Who told you
Oh,
that?
can I curse?
Yeah, you can fucking
Okay.
curse. Fuck it. Who
Um,
lied to you?
I did. I lied to myself,
And
right?
you believed that lie.
Correct.
You're
Because
a very handsome man.
I was very transactional with my approach to my identity, and with my relationship around me. If I did this or if I said this, it would get this result,
Mm,
right? And like if I did the exact formula and got a different result, well, I was the one messing up,
mm,
right? Like it had nothing to do with the fact that people were completely individual like humans. It was all about why am I fucking up my controlling aspect, right? So, um, when I started experimenting with what it means to be gay, right? I started exploring and like no one with my age, right? Because no one in my school could know. No one in my age group could know. So I started going on the apps, started looking for other men, right? And how sick that like men would look for me,
mm.
right?
You're
I
young.
was a not a legal child, but I was a child when I was on the apps,
Yeah.
right? Like, and people would
Under 18.
no, I was 18 when I was on the apps,
Okay.
so I was at least a legal adult. But like I looked like a child,
Yeah.
right? Like there were men who were looking after me and I'm like at the time I was accepting of it and I was like yes because someone was looking for me. But what a twisted way of experiencing life, right? Like I was only sought after by people who are much older than me, right? People who had no value of me and who clearly didn't value a healthy relationship because what are you doing going after an 18-year-old? Not that there's anything wrong with like dating younger than yourself, but like I was inexperienced. It was clear as day. I had no idea what I was doing and who knows what's going on in their minds. For all I knew, like it was well intended and misguided, but that's neither here nor so.
A lot of people use youth to their advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a method to control,
Yeah.
because you don't know very much different than what they're telling you,
And there's an appeal. There's an appeal to that.
right?
Yeah.
To be able to control the other person and manipulate them.
Oh, and the things that I would do afterwards to control and manipulate. Yeah, I get the appeal.
Yeah.
But also just proves to me how sick I was,
Right.
right? It was and this is before using. So further down the line, right, I learned to follow the pattern, the formula that I had discovered for finding affection, right? Not love, just like transactional desire. And it got me further and further away from morals and values that I hold dear to me today, right? And going back to my father, it was the lack of morals and values that he found deplorable, right? It wasn't that I was seeing a man, it was that I was seeing a man older than myself in a sketchy like car. Like it was all the wrong things about any healthy relationship, right? Like it wasn't about that I was holding hands with a man, with another person, like another male. It was that like I was hiding a secret relationship, going behind doors. Like it was all about like sleeping around and not taking care of myself and holding value within myself and seeking validation from these physical contacts,
In
right?
relationships,
In
yeah.
relationships. Yeah, it was nothing about like as an adult I see this, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that not a good thing, boo-boo."
Not a good look, babe.
Yeah. Let's forward a little bit further from that. Right, I'm in this pattern of seeking validation through external means, but I learned to hide it better. Right, at this point, some of my friends knew that I was gay. I finally came out after college. Only my close friends I felt brave enough to let them know, and even then I lied. I was like, "Oh, I'm bi."
Mm,
Everyone saw the bold face lie, but took it anyway because it's like, "Hey, it's a step forward," right?
right.
And I'm so happy that they were loving and accepting at the time because without them today, I would not be the true version of myself that I am,
Mm.
right? Like they saw all the things about me that I was trying to hide and they said, "We still accept you. We still love you and you're still okay. You're still allowed to be here. You know, we're not going to shun you. We're just going to make sure that you are loved." And to this day they still do. So thank you guys. So, right, like I finally found drugs and the way I found drugs, oh my god, right? At this point of seeking external validation. I'm on the apps. This one really hot guy. asks, "Hey, do you want to try this?" Here's this hot guy asking to pretty much like have sex with me, make out, and like go crazy wild with me. I'm like, fuck yeah, why
Let's
not?
do it.
Absolutely.
Sign me up.
Right. And so it was intense. It was very physical, but like the desire I felt coming off from him for me was so palpable, it got me hooked, right?
So it's your first usage of this drug
Yeah. Of any
tied
drug.
of any drug tied to this sexual intense relationship.
So now I've tied a feeling to a substance, right?
Mm.
And all I want to do is chase that feeling again and
Mm.
again and again, no matter how deteriorating that feeling was or how deteriorating I was. Um, and I never got that feeling again. I get close, sure. But like every time I missed the mark, I'd be like, oh, what if I tried this differently? Or if I did this
Mm.
differently? Like, we'll try it again and again and again and again.
Mm-mm.
All the failing results. And like, if the facts don't present themselves, if the statistics don't say, hey, the more you try, the more you fail, the more the broader spectrum of failures it's going to be, didn't persuade me to stop, right? It was just about chasing that high, that feeling,
Mm.
and chasing that satisfaction. So this person became my drug sponsor, right? For those who don't know, a drug sponsor, as I've learned, is the sponsor you have when you're using drugs. They teach
Mm.
you all the ways of using drugs and fucking up your life without telling you that you're going to be fucking up your life.
Follow me. Follow my example. Watch me
Right,
fuck up my life.
right. I thought I was telling the truth, being honest. I thought I was still holding the values and morals that I had, but applying it to drugs, which clearly does not equate.
How old
Um,
are you at this point?
at this point, great question. I gotta be, it was after college, so I gotta be at least 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I lived in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, of all places, and the drug world was open to me, right? Like all of a sudden, I knew how to find drugs, I knew where to go, who
Oh
to
yeah,
meet.
the bush is your oyster.
Mm-hmm. Pun not intended.
Pun intended.
But yeah, all of a sudden, like before, it never occurred to me to look for drugs in Bushwick, and then I learned about drugs, and like, oh my god, I'm in like the heaven of drugs, right? Like I can find any kind of drug I want here. There was only one type of drug I wanted because that's the only one I knew how to use, and I found an abundance. Plus, all these men in Bushwick that are gay were like ready and willing, right? Long Island is a very hard place to meet gay people. Any of the boroughs was so much easier, and also at my fingertips,
Right.
right? Like there were people feet away from me that
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Oh, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready to
Mm-hmm.
hook up. You're ready to hook up. You're
The
ready to
bush
drugs."
is your oyster.
Hell yeah, and I do love a good bush. um, and yeah, like I started showing up late to work. Right, I started getting more agitated in my everyday life. I would shut in more. Like I was a shut in already. Like I'm a bedroom boy, not a living room boy. If for those who know, it means I grew up in my bedroom. That was my safe haven. That was my safe place.
Find me under the blankets.
Correct. Right. Reading a book, watching a movie, just like the door
Yep,
closed.
by myself.
Right. Because that was where I felt I was allowed to be. When I
Mm.
was in the rest of my house, I'm like, oh, I have to earn the right to be in my house.
Mm.
Right. And even to this day, like I don't feel as comfortable in like existing in the living room or the kitchen as I do in my bedroom. And it's
Can
not that I
relate.
don't feel comfortable there at all nowadays. It's just that my bedroom feels more comfortable.
Can relate. Can
Yes.
relate.
It's my own world. It's my own bubble.
Yeah.
Um,
Most of the time, we're not wearing pants.
correct. Jesus fuck. Or like socks or anyway. Where was I? So Bushwick, right?
Bush. The
And
bush is your
I
oyster.
found I've only had three long-term boyfriends, and none of them were serious.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was my drug sponsor, and I didn't even realize I was in a relationship with him until I look back. I'm like, oh yeah, he was kind of my horrible toxic boyfriend, but we weren't actually dating. We were just using.
Right.
We would only see each other to use, and it was like there was always a third person there, so it was like we weren't even dating each other. We were just dating the drug.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a polyamorous relationship with our drug, and yeah, I eventually, you know, I found some abstinence, right? Because like I could no longer afford to live in my Bushwick apartment, right? It was $800 a month. I was in a uh
God, I wish we could get those rates today.
I it but it was shared with six other men in a
What?
train car style apartment, which means every room is connected to another through a door that we just keep locked. And there's a hallway that runs along all six rooms, and then a kitchen at the end, and like one tiny bathroom.
What in the world?
It's Bushwick.
Bushwig.
Yeah. And it was weird because like all the different floors and different apartments all knew each other and like they were all friends. There was a basement party every
Sounds
once
like
a
a
month.
dorm.
It was definitely made up of like fresh
Fresh grads.
undergrads, right? Just trying to live that Brooklyn experience,
Mm-hmm.
and yo, it was pure Bushwick, like like living. And it was my first time living away from home other than dorming,
Right.
right? I had to pay for my own rent, get my own groceries, all the things, and I just isolated. I
Mm-hmm.
just stayed in my room, isolated, went out to use drugs and hook up with men, and then came back to work for like a couple hours, right? To go back and use on my weekends. My weekends are never consistent because my work schedule was never consistent. So, it was easier to keep falling off the bandwagon. Um, so yeah, I eventually moved back home, right? I stopped using drugs for a while. I wasn't clean, but I was abstinent for a period of time. Um, and I got the life on paper that looks great. I got a great job, right? With an annual salary, benefits, a 401k, health insurance. I got a car, a savings plan. Um, I had no social life because my hours were overnight and I didn't see my friends. And the few times I did see them, it was like a huge bash, but every so few often that like it really didn't sustain me for human connection
Mm-hmm.
outside of a service structure. Service structure meaning like I worked customer service, so like if I didn't socialize, I'm not gonna socialize with the people I'm selling stuff to or
Right.
like working for. It just didn't separate the feeling of forced customer service with actual human engagement.
Mm-hmm. I'd
Um,
rather be in my bed.
right. But that also meant like because of my work hours, I wasn't seeing my family as often. I lived in the
Mm.
same household. They literally lived in the rooms next to me, and I saw them maybe once every week, right? Or maybe once every day at dinner,
Mm.
right? Because I would sleep when they're working and they'd be sleeping when I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
So we barely saw each other, right? I had no social connections. I had no support group, right? My friends and family felt so far away, which was heightened by the fact they were so close to me. My best friends live at the other end of my own block,
Mm.
and I saw them maybe every 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. My drug sponsor ended up getting a job at my job through a recommendation from me, of course. Right.
Talk
Makes
about
so much
painting.
sense.
Talk
Right.
about painting yourself into a corner.
Correct. Right. Now, they lost their job of their own actions, right? Um, but it made me look bad because like here I am recommending this person, and here they are being a horrible employee, right? So like,
Oops.
yeah. And then I started acting sketchy because I'm still using with this guy. I went back to using with him, right? Um, and for like 5 years, went down this like running path of using. To be fair, I stopped going to this job after I had this job for 5 years. The last 2 years of it, I started using again. And then for the next 3 years after that, I left this job, I was still using, right? So I broke up with my drug sponsor again. I moved out to I met someone online and moved out with him a year later and lived in Jamaica, Queens.
That's my hood.
Right, right. But like literally like a couple streets away from the Long Island Railroad Jamaica station. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was pure drug central. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
people, if people don't know who Jamaica Queens is, there are people outside the subway station literally like trying to sell you pot. Like they're trying to sell you a fake Gucci bag. Like there's tables and then there's people trying to sell you pot.
And the police are chilling right there. It's not
Right,
like
right.
there's little lawless land, Jamaica
Mm-hmm.
Queens.
And the depending on what time of day and what time and like who you're talking to, it's a different drug roulette.
Right.
So yeah, I found someone else to be my hostage, right? They were into drugs but were abstinent at the time, and then I brought them back into the drugging world.
As we do.
Right, right. Like, oh, I'm not damaged enough. Let me make sure you're just as damaged.
Right.
Eventually, through a downward spiral of using, paranoia, um, being a horrible human being at work, in everyday life, right? Like cutting myself off from all social connections that I reestablished during my absence, and then just isolating and just using. I lost my job. Um,
Surprise,
surprise,
surprise.
surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Right? Lost my support group. Eventually lost the apartment because we couldn't
Mm.
afford. Right? Mind you, by the time we lost the apartment, we hadn't been eating regularly for like a month. Right?
Sounds such like so unhealthy.
Mhm. I did end up on what do you call it again?
Public assistance?
Public assistance, specifically the card.
SNAP
SNAP
benefits?
benefits, yes, or as we called it at the time, your poor membership card, right? Like I was a solid member of that
The
club.
poor club.
Yes, and we used our benefit money for drugs.
Oh
Like that
no.
was food. That was supposed to be money for food for a
Oh no.
month, and that was gone within like a week,
Oh
if that.
no.
Right? So we would live off of canned food, donations, whatever. If we had another drug friend who would host us sometimes and feed us, and honestly, like I would skip those meals too because like bottom mentality, if you don't eat anything, nothing has to come out later.
Right.
So it's just like I'm always ready for what? Nothing, because nothing was happening
Right.
except for more drugs.
Right.
There was another topic that you had mentioned at the beginning, and that was about my health. So I am HIV positive, right? That is a result of my using. I don't know how I contracted it. I don't know if it was I shared a needle or I slept with someone unprotected, right? All I know is that I am HIV positive, right? I take medication daily. Um,
How did you find that out?
my ex and I went to go get a checkup, right? I don't remember the reason why we had to go get a checkup. I don't know if it's because one of us was sick, or we were just like, let's just go just in case, or they got referred to, or it's been a while. Oh, I do remember. I needed a re up on my PrEP, right?
Mm.
Which is preventative HIV, but at the time I wasn't taking because I ran out and I didn't have insurance,
Mm-hmm. So
right?
you're actively using knowing that HIV is in the community and you're sharing needles and you're, having unprotected sex and
So
saying,
at this point, I wasn't sharing needles,
mm-hmm,
right? I wasn't using needles,
mm-hmm,
right? I actually never shared needles. I only ever used my own needles.
mm-hmm,
That, for whatever reason, I could thank my drug sponsor for.
mm-hmm.
Great. He taught me how to use a needle, and then he told me never to share needles.
Okay, cool.
The one thing I learned to hold true.
Thank you, drug sponsor.
Yeah, right.
Still didn't help us.
No.
So you're taking
I
preventative treatment at this point.
right. I'm taking PrEP to prevent HIV, and then I stopped using PrEP because, again, all the reasons I said before. So I was on Medicaid finally, so I'm like, oh great, I can take PrEP again. And whenever you're off PrEP for a period of time and you're not taking regular visits, they're like, okay, let's do a blood work just to make sure that like we're all good, right? Just because, just in case. And that's literally when I learned I was HIV
Oh
positive.
my gosh, what was that like finding that out?
Um, didn't feel real. It also didn't feel like it had any impact on my life whatsoever because it's
Mm-hmm.
like, who cares? I use drugs.
Yeah,
Like, why do I care if I'm HIV positive? I wasn't a person who was caring about his health, his welfare, his values.
yeah.
I was just caring about like, what, okay,
The
great,
next one.
right. So when's their next use? Like,
Right.
cool. But I learned to manipulate that. I learned to use that to manipulate.
Mm.
Right. I even arguments with that. How horrible. Here is this stigmatizing disease that's actually killed millions of people.
So many people
Right. And it's an actually horrible thing. And
within
here I
the gay
am.
community.
Right. And here I am trying to use it to my advantage to like get guilt out of someone, to manipulate an argument. Like, how terrible.
Oh, drug addicts. That's a,
Hmm.
you know.
Like, at one point, my ex called me dirty for, out of context, for sleeping with other people and like just being a horrible human being. But I twisted it to make him, to mean it that I took it about me being HIV positive,
Mm.
thereby like
Making you a victim.
making me a victim. That's exactly what I did. And yeah, I wasn't hurt by it. I made it look like I was hurt by it.
Hmm, hmm.
Now, I openly tell people I'm HIV positive. Um, it's not like, hi, I'm Tim. I'm HIV positive. Nice to meet you. It's like, you know, when it comes to discussing health and being uh stigmatized, I make sure people know that yeah, I'm HIV positive. I take medication. I make sure I get blood work done every 3 months to keep up with my health and make sure I'm on top of it. I'm undetectable. My viral load is which means my viral load is so small I cannot actually transmit it. Life
Life
goes
goes
on.
on.
Like my white blood cell count is healthy. And again, my focus on the HIV, my viral load is not so that I can go out and have sex. It's so that I know that like my immune system is safe right now.
Right.
I'm not concerned about transmitting because I want to have sex. I'm concerned about transmitting because I got a cut on my hand. I got to make sure that, like, hey, let's just in case make sure we cover that up and wear gloves so that you don't accidentally have an open wound and I can infect you by accident.
Hmm,
Like,
hmm,
that's my main concern,
hmm.
right? And yeah, life goes on, right?
Still
Um,
living a normal life.
huh?
You're still living a normal life.
Yeah, I'm still living a normal life, as does many people do with HIV. Like, my disease does not define me.
Thank God it's no longer a death sentence.
Correct.
Thank God. Modern medicine has,
Truly come a long way.
oh my gosh, yeah. It's saved a lot of people's lives. And,
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of the AIDS epidemic,
Absolutely.
HIV AIDS epidemic, it was a death sentence, because there was no treatment. There was very little knowledge and understanding. There's so much stigma, so much
It was
stigma.
the gay disease, air
It
quotes.
was the gay disease, right?
Right.
And as a gay man, talking about this, being affected by it, not even knowing how you got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that comes with its own load of stigma. But the truth is that you were out there doing things,
Unsafe
yeah,
practices. Like
yeah,
it's
doing
no what
unhealthy
like I'm
things,
actually surprised I didn't have more than just HIV, right?
yeah.
Like sure people get STIs all the time nowadays
Mm-hmm.
through unprotected sex and there's treatments for it,
Right.
right? Like it's not the big like there's a joke in the gay community that like, "Oh yeah, everyone's got at least one STI at some point." Right? And it's just like that really minimizes the effect an SDI has on our mentality. Like when you
Yeah.
minimize something dangerous, you really make it more dangerous because
Right.
now you're exposing yourself without caution, without care.
Right. You're just like, oh, everybody has this.
Right.
Oh, everybody's got something.
Right.
Whatever.
Let's normalize the opposite. Let's
Right.
normalize that like having it doesn't mean you're bad.
Right.
Right.
But also, you have to communicate it, right? You
Right.
have to,
Hmm.
get somebody into a relationship,
Like with things hidden from them.
right?
Right. And like that's part of the reason why I'm very upfront about being HIV positive because like if I can practice talking about my disease of HIV, I can practice talking about my disease of addiction. And the more I practice talking about it and normalizing it in my everyday conversation, the more the people around me will accept it for part of who I am, right? It's not I don't it doesn't own my identity, but it is a part of how I choose to identify as a recovering addict, an HIV positive survivor, right? Like the more I'm able to talk about it and the more comfortable people are around me discussing it, the easier it is to find love and acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And with that, eventually, I'm sure, because I have faith in God, that I will find someone that loves and cares for me in an intimate way with all the things, all the baggage that I carry, with all the things behind me on the wall, right? Because I know that they'll know that those things don't define me. They're part of how I identify, like I said. Just the same way it helps talking about being gay, right? Like being gay is part of who I am. Before it was my whole identity, and you can imagine how annoying that was. Like, oh my
Hi,
god,
Tim.
right?
Hi,
Hi, gay
girl.
flag, hello. And it's just like, yes, we know you're gay, but what else, right? Like, do you even have a favorite color other than rainbow? Like, come on. So yeah, I identify as gay, but that's not my whole identity. I identify as a recovering addict, but that's not the entirety of who I am. I'm also a nerd. I'm also a great employee. I'm also like a community service member, right? I'm also a great friend. I'm also
A candle
a
maker.
candle maker. Let's forward a little bit further from that. We ended up homeless. We lost the storage unit, which had most of our things,
Mm.
and all of our belongings and life like possessions fit in the trunk and the back seat of our tiny sedan. Right? It's a 2019 Altima. I forget the Toyota Altima, which is horrible for tall people, right?
Tim is
Like
very tall.
I am
Tim is
so
very
at the
tall.
time we got the car, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so much closer to the ground." Which was wild for me because I've only driven like large cars, right? A minivan, an SUV. Like those are the cars my family owned, and that's why I learned to drive. This tiny ass car, I felt like I was a speed demon because first it was closer to the ground, I could see better, I was driving faster, or I thought I was driving better, but I was just faster. Um, but yeah, living in that car for like 3 months with another person, unbearable, miserable,
Unmanageable.
unmanageable.
The definition of.
The definition of it was insanity, and every day we're like, I don't know, trying to think of a way to get ourselves out of the situation
Did
on
you
our
ever
own.
did you ever think about stopping the use of drugs?
So at some point I stopped using drugs just because like one, I needed to, I couldn't spend money on this, right? And again, it wasn't the thought of like wanting to get clean, it was just like we literally have no money to use drugs right now, right? Like we were.
Cost prohibitive.
Yeah. Like this is the point, like I would eat once a week at
Mm.
McDonald's when they had the free meal coupon,
Mm.
right? And this is when they had a free meal coupon. Um Eventually he had a connection, like a person, not a connection like a drug connection. Out east, the Hamptons. Don't ask me like why the Hamptons, but we drove there. It was literally like a few days before Christmas. We spent a few days there. We cleaned up the car. We did our laundry. We tried to get like we ate like good meals, right? And at that point, it was like an oasis in the desert. It wasn't enough to sustain us, but just to give us a reprieve. And it was so lovely that when it ended, I forgot the situation I was in,
Mm.
right? The next night, after living 3 days in a gorgeous house in the Hamptons, we were sleeping in a parking lot
Again.
again, right?
Where's your family during all of this? Are you in contact with them? Are they
No,
worried?
I had no phone service. I
Oh,
had
so you're just off
no.
the map.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably worried sick.
Absolutely. When I finally came home, we're gonna fast forward a second. When I finally got home, my mother, I hate this story because it hits so close to heart. She told me like, I don't know if the next phone call I was gonna get is from the police asking us to identify your body,
Oh,
and that hit right because like I was like,
because it could have been true.
it
It could
could
have
have been
been
true.
you. It could have
There
been
was
you.
no way to contact me. My phone number kept changing. My mother was at the edge of her like seat every night. My sister told me later that like there were nights where my mom would just stay up
Oh,
in the living room next to the phone, just waiting for any phone call that might come through.
devastation. Oh,
That's absolutely a horrible way.
heartbreaking.
And I'm a
Heartbreaking.
big mama's boy,
Oh,
right? Like I cannot fathom the thought of doing that to my mother because of course I couldn't fathom the thought of doing anything to anyone. It wasn't about everyone else. It was just about me, myself, and I.
self-centered disease.
Mm-hmm.
Triangle of self-obsession.
Yes. And now I always like to say it, me, myself, and why.
Why would I do that to myself?
Right. So
Back
yeah,
in the parking lot.
back in the parking lot, homeless. At this point again I was abstinent, right? So like no drug use. Um my ex at the time, my husband, was
You married this man?
I got domesticated to this man.
Tim,
I
domesticated in a car?
Yeah,
Domesticated implies a house, babe.
we got domesticated at the apartment before we lost it.
Okay, okay.
But God, did that come with so many strings attached? It was so ugly and messy. It was like all the wrong ways of staying with someone, right? Written in a book somewhere and like executed perfectly.
What
Um,
not to do.
a
Tim
tragedy.
Tim's recipe for what not to do.
So, right, we're in the car and it was really bright. It's like that bright
Mm.
winter air.
Mhm.
Like it's early in the morning, the sun is up, the air is cold and crisp, everything is
Mhm.
clear. It's
Mhm.
normally a very gorgeous day, but today like bleary-eyed, no food, no coffee,
Mhm.
waking up in the freezing car, a car we'd have to get up often in the middle of the night just to stay warm, just
Mhm.
turn on the car heat. Um, I'm like, okay, we have to drive all the way back to Queens. For those who don't know, it's like a 4.5 hour
From
drive.
the Hamptons? Good God.
Yeah,
That's far.
to nowhere because we didn't have a
You're
place.
going to a parking lot.
Right, but it was an area that we knew,
Mhm.
right?
Home, quote unquote.
Right, home field maybe. And I'm like, okay, first coffee, right? Because I can't be doing this drive without a big cup of caffeine and something warm. So we're on the way to drive to Starbucks because I was like close by. And in the blinding sun, we were crossing a school crossing area, right? There was a cross guard, and like there were children crossing, but like the story isn't about me hitting a kid. That didn't happen.
Thank
It was
God.
about, yeah, it was a me crossing and then getting T-boned by an SUV. Right. Um Fortunately no one was hurt. It was slow enough because it was a school zone, thank God. Uh that like they were going 5 miles per hour,
Mhm.
genuinely. But like you're such a huge car.
Mm.
Sorry, I said SUV. I meant like a town car. Like those ones that like the Uber XL
Mhm.
picks you up in. And we got T-boned. The entire back of the car gets crushed.
Ugh,
Glass shattered.
now you're really homeless.
So, oh my God, you had no idea, like the devastation we felt. But it was weird because at that time I was already so numb with like defeat that I was like, great, here's another thing that's
Yeah, what's
happening.
the next one?
Right. Like I only have so many shoes that can drop. Let's see how much further down they can drop.
Right. How low does this bottom go?
Further still. All of our life possessions had to be removed from the car. We didn't have any insurance, so our car got impounded immediately in the Hamptons, right? And my closest family member is in Nassau County. So it's like, fuck, how do we get from here to there? Fortunately, my ex's friend that let us stay over was willing to drive us to the closest family member that was still 2 hours away.
Mhm.
So with a another car full of all of our life possessions, which is made that much more insignificant when as we were repacking it, realizing like half of this shit is just garbage.
Mm.
But like we had no way of knowing or going through it or collect or like figuring out our life long enough to just sort through it. We stayed at my aunt's a few days before Christmas, and from there we were going to his mom's place, right? Who was gonna let her son come back home. But when she found that I was going with her,
Mm.
she quickly changed her mind and said absolutely not. And the day after Christmas, we ended up going into a homeless shelter, right? Um, God said, I can only do so much when you're not willing. He made sure that we got domesticated so that when we got to a shelter, they allowed us in as a family. And family shelters are so much better than individual shelters for one reason. If I was admitted to a shelter as a single male, I would get a bed, maybe, in a room of like in a gymnasium full of men and hundreds of other beds. There's no like privacy, there's no locker, there's no private like ownership of anything. You are literally just there for the bed and you have to hold on to all of your things, otherwise it will get stolen from you. With a family shelter, every family gets a room, a unit. It was in a school, but it had a locked door, a heater, a cupboard, right? Like all of our stuff lived in that family room, right? And we slowly got rid of it over time. And I'm like, okay, this is a break. This is the first break I've really felt that we've gotten. Meanwhile, like here I was being ungrateful about the time I got to spend at a gorgeous home in the Hamptons, right? Eating so many good meals. Like I was so ungrateful at the time. I couldn't see the breaks when they were coming. So I decided this was my first big break, right? I was gonna get a job finally because I have an address I can put on an application or resume. Um, I was gonna go work at Starbucks again because I had experience there and I was a supervisor. So like, great, I have great experience And like I have all these other qualifications that I haven't used in like years, but like I was gonna do it, right? They give you a free phone with a phone plan, government like parsed
Assisted.
out
Yeah.
system, but like, you know, I was gonna turn our lives around, right? We spent New Year's Eve there, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and like slowly, I felt like I was starting to bring our life back up, and then it was my ex's birthday, January 8th, and we decided, oh, we've been good, we're getting our lives back on track. Why don't we start using again?
Oh no.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Timmy,
So,
Timmy, Timmy.
mm-hmm. So on the 8th, we booked a hotel room not far from the shelter we were at because obviously we can't be doing stuff in the shelter. That would jeopardize our living at the shelter.
So you go and you get a hotel room.
Right. And then we get drugs and we get people to come. And something in me told me like no. Like after the first hit, I was like no. I'm not going to keep doing this. For whatever reason, I said no, right? And obviously another reason is because of God. Like God said, you said no before, and this is your out. So I'm giving you a second chance to say no. And I said no. So I left. I instead, with the few money we had left, I got a phone plan because I had a phone, just didn't have a service. I got a phone plan. And by the next day, I had called my parents to come pick me up,
Mm.
right? Um, at that point, my ex was withdrawing, crashing out, getting paranoid and violent and like threatening. And I was so scared. I packed up whatever I could and like left.
January 9th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Clean date.
That's exactly why it's my clean date. Um. So yeah, I got home and started my like recovery journey, right? And it took me like I know 12 days for me to find my first NA meeting because I remember saying at that meeting like on my 12th day of abstinence, I learned about the 12 steps,
Mm, mm.
right?
On the 12th day of
Yeah, that's
abstinence.
exactly how it felt. I was like, wow, okay.
Tell me a little bit about your recovery and your identity as a recovering addict and what recovery was like for you when you did surrender and say, I need help.
Surrendering and recovering were a process, as all things were, right? It was a lengthy process that was messy and hard to define in stages, but it started with getting a rejection from a therapist. When I got home, I was so desperate to fix my life, right? I had finally internally accepted that like my life is shit, right? Like fuck all the things I wanted to do or all the things that I wish I could do, just make it stop and make it better. That's all I could think about, right? And that was acceptance. That is accepting that like I'm at this low, that my life was unmanageable.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave me some relief because I could stop worrying about saving face, right? I couldn't start thinking about saving ass, but I could stop putting effort and stress and like I could stop exerting myself in a way that wasn't helping me.
Painting the mask.
Correct. So I asked for help. I asked my dad first, who's again a very big religious nut. Um, in context, we went to a mass years ago. It was an Easter Vigil mass in Connecticut because it was in four different languages. And you're thinking, oh, okay, that's cool. They'll have like a translator and like it'll be no. Every part of the mass was done four times in four different languages. So we left at 3 p.m. to go to this mass in Connecticut. Got there at 7:30. Mass started at 8. We didn't leave until midnight. By the time we got home, it was like a quarter to 4 in the morning, and we hadn't eaten since like 2 p.m. the day before.
So that form of God did not save you.
No, no,
Spoiler alert.
no.
Gotta try
But
something else.
yeah, it taught us never again do we have to go out of state for a mass in a
Multi
different language.
language.
No. Um, but yes, this religious nut, I was like, I need help. I don't know what to do. I need therapy. And he's like, why not religious therapy? I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Is a priest gonna be asking me how does that make you feel? Like, what does that mean? I still to this day don't know what it meant. But at this point I was desperate and I was looking to try and realign myself in my religion was a thought, right? What I really needed was some spirituality, and that's what I learned is what I needed. Um but after doing the interview with the program, I guess coordinator, the person that like listens to your story and matches you up with the best practitioner, they were like, yeah, we need our patients to have a bit more clean time before we can start diagnosing them for mental illnesses and like helping
Mm,
them on their mental studies. I didn't hear any of that. I just heard, no, you're not good enough.
mm.
Right. And that was a huge rejection.
Right. Like, you
Like,
can't help me.
right, here I am
And asking for
finally,
help.
correct.
Yeah.
I'm finally doing the right thing, asking for help, saying that I need help and looking for help. And here you guys are rejecting me. Some self semblance of like customer service training kicked in, and I stopped like trying to scream at the lady and I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? And so she said, well, have you tried NA?
Mm.
And then that caught me off guard and threw me for a spin because like a spark went off. I was like, oh fuck. I forgot that was a thing that existed. Right. And so she's like, she directed me to resources. She directed me to the helpline, which I wrote down. After an hour of like calming down, I called. I got a voicemail, left a message. It was a Saturday when I called and the Sunday that he called back. And I remember this because the next meeting was Monday in my hometown. To this day, I don't know who it was. I don't know if they're even in our area, if they're even alive. All I know is that they're a recovering member of Narcotics Anonymous who, and this poor person, listened to me bawl on the phone for two and a
Mm.
half hours,
Mm.
right? And just once I started talking, because I didn't know what to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
I just said, I need help. And then I went into the war story of my using. And by the end of it, he suggested to me, like, hey, this is the town you're in. This is the next meeting that you have, right? And all I had to do was make it 24 hours before my first meeting, right? An agonizing task for those in early recovery, right? Like, how could I think about spending a whole 24 hours without going crazy to get to my first meeting? At this point, I'm still with my ex, but we weren't living together, right?
Mm.
He was living in a shelter. I was living at home. I had the grace of loving support from family, a shelter, a roof over my head, a bed, clean clothes, laundry dryer, like a shower, a bedroom to my own. And meanwhile, my ex was living, like I said, in a single men's shelter. And as I described before, it's impossible to feel supported in that area, right? After I went to my first meeting where I raised my hand, I said, "Hi, my name is Tim. I'm an addict. I'm scared and I don't know what to do and I need help." Right? And for the next like 3.5 months, I would go to meetings regularly every day, cry my eyes out, spill my guts out. God help you if you actually knew what I was saying, because one of my best friends in recovery tells me today that like, Tim, I love you, but God, every time you raise your hand, if you wouldn't shut the fuck up, because like, here we go again, the blubbery, like, give him a box of tissues to shove into his nose. It was so ugly. It was, oh,
Girl, that's what early recovery
that's
is. That's
exactly what it
exactly what
was. And
early
I did it
recovery is.
exactly what I needed. Still living in the unmanageable life of insanity, right? I was, I finally got a job at the Starbucks that I've been looking to try and get to do. I would get up in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, bike over to the Starbucks, work until like 11 a.m., bike back home, have a quick lunch, walk over to the train station by like 1 o'clock, take the train to Woodside or Jamaica, depending on like what was available that day at that time. Go hang out with my ex for like 8 hours, spend the little money I earned from Starbucks for like a hotel every single day, an hourly hotel, so that
Mm.
we could spend time on a bed together, not do anything, just exist there. right? And then get home by like 11 o'clock to go to bed, to get up again, to do the same lather, rinse, repeat for like months. And I was burning the candle at both ends. Every time, every day, I was like, if I just keep at this, I'll fix it. If I can keep doing this for forever, I can fix this, right? And I was like exhausted. I was,
Sounds like a lot.
it was a lot. It absolutely was a lot. I was burning the candle from both ends with no support from my ex, with no understanding from my family, um, with no real solution of how to fix our relationship, how to fix our marriage, how to get our lives back. So I had to come to a decision, right? I came to the decision to fucking break up with my ex.
Smart move.
Yeah, I was like, and I realized I didn't have to go see him to do this. I just
Mm,
fucking called him and I was like, I'm breaking up with you. This is too much.
unmanageable.
It's unmanageable. I tried to bring him into recovery, and as we all know, attraction, not promotion. I was clearly trying to recover for him. And after like, this is 6 months into my first meeting, I started to finally focus on myself. And with that came all the things that like we try and teach new members in early recovery. Just show up, just keep coming. Just go to your meeting every day and listen, share what you have to share, and then listen to the feeling, um, not the details, right? Like try and find the similarities in the feelings behind your story. And as I did, it made it easier to know that, like, for one, I don't have control. And that was the most relieving thought.
Mm,
I don't have to fix everything. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to, like, do all the things to try and get things correct. I
God's
can,
there too.
yeah. It was the most relieving thought to know that I don't have to control every little bit of my life to be able to live it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that came relief, and knowing that if I just keep doing the next best thing, God will make sure things work out the way that they need to. And that sense of comfort, knowing that, like, I don't have to overextend myself. I don't have to put on the perfection. I can stop being a perfectionist about every little thing, lest the world cracks and, like, I fall under, right? It came a sense of, like, ease, some peace, right? Like, I was just able to breathe. And with every breath, I slowed down. I started listening. I started empathizing and realizing that, like, I'm not the center of the world. And that grew connections, relationships with friends, family, right? Like apologizing um when I was wrong. I knew I was wrong, right? Like it wasn't just apologizing to save face. It was like, "Oh, I understand why the fuck I messed up."
Mm,
And to prove to you, I'm actually going to put effort into making sure that I don't do that again and then
mm-hmm.
actually following through.
Mm-hmm. I'll say that I remember the first time I met you, you were being introduced at Area as the nominated chair of public information.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a request on the table to waive your clean time because I think there was a required two
It was
years.
2 years. I only had one.
Yeah, you only had 1 year of clean time. And that's the first time I saw you. That's, it was Tim, the, proposed PI chair. And I didn't know you. I saw your personality and your willingness to serve, and then we became friends. And you do a lot of service in public information,
Mm.
right? Public information is super important for people to realize that we are here. That's exactly what you needed, right?
Yeah. We're actually now called public relation,
Right.
just through some red tape and drama just to make it easier for everyone to remember. But yeah, that's exactly how I found my first room. Because if the therapist that rejected me didn't know about the program, then I would never have been recommended in the first place. And that's what we do. We make sure our communities know that the program exists for those who are still suffering.
It's one of the most important forms of service. High schools, colleges,
Mm-hmm.
doctors' offices
Yeah,
to say
anything
we
that
are here.
might have to do some police stations, like law enforcement, sometimes if they know more about the program, they're more likely to recommend some people to NA instead of just incarceration.
Yeah, to give them another out, an
And we
out.
have Yeah, we have credibility. Like, I know some stories of people, they're either given a choice, incarceration or go to a meeting. Incarceration, like, that was on the same level as incarceration and how serious and effective it was. Like, we are so effective that a judge would recommend we go to us first before incarceration.
I would say that incarceration is probably not as effective as the program.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel
Yes,
like
sorry. Maybe poor choice of words. It's not as effective.
the gravity of it,
It's
though.
gravity.
Yeah, the
There's
importance of
some
it.
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you for sharing your story and talking so candidly about your experiences and your health and the service that you've done in NA. I admire your recovery. I love your sponsor. I love your sponsorship family. You guys are all such an amazing bunch.
Thank you.
And it speaks volumes, more than an episode on a podcast can.
I beg to differ. What you've been doing for months,
It's 6 months now.
it's still so impactful. Like, the ability that we can, first of all, we can hear all of our friends who've done this podcast
Yeah, our
whenever we
friends.
want.
Yeah.
Right? There's some members who are away from home for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got to hear them for the first time in so many weeks and months, it was like a godsend, right? And I have friends in the program who are like across the world right now, and I'm sure they'll be excited to hear my voice, especially when, like, I know I call them like every once in a while, especially when, like, it's in a place that they don't always expect,
Yeah.
right? It's about connecting with our communities, and what you do is an incredible thing to bring this platform another source of connection.
Yeah, it's another way to get recovery, right? When you're sitting alone in your car or cleaning
Mm-hmm.
your house or whatever, pop the
Mm-hmm.
headphones in and listen to an interview. It's nice. And a lot of people reach out to me and just, thank me for putting people on here and telling these stories because these stories are really important, right? It's
I
the
loved the stories when I
Yeah,
heard it because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that about this person.
right,
But
exactly.
also, what a humbling way of experiencing life
Mm-hmm.
to learn about someone else's story and just think, wow, they've been through so
It really
much.
is. It makes me closer to every single person that I
Mm-hmm.
interview, and it just gives me an opportunity to get to know them better, right? But also to like witness their recovery and how they move through the world, and just to be able to sit across from somebody, for them to give you their time and say, "Yeah, I'm going to sit here and record this and stumble on the words and good luck editing."
Jesus, I have notes for that later of like when I had to pause for so long. So you're like, why is this length of time
It's
so
okay.
weird?
It's okay. Thank you for being on the podcast
Of
and
course.
for telling your story and just for being my friend. I appreciate you. I can't wait for our dinner and
Oh my
candle
God, I'm
making
so
date.
excited. I picked
I,
out the scents that I want to make for candles
I have
already.
my candle wicks inside and I just can't wait.
I
I love you, Tim.
love
Thank
you, Sophie.
you.
Thank you so
And
much.
congratulations on three
Oh my
years.
God, I forgot. Thank you. Yay.
The Voices of Recovery podcast is an independent production of the Works of Wisdom. We welcome your questions and donations via PayPal at voicesofrecoverypod@gmail.com. This podcast is an independent production and is not affiliated with, associated with, authorized by, endorsed by, or in any way officially connected with Narcotics Anonymous or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. While NA literature may be read during episodes for the purpose of supporting recovery, such use does not constitute an official endorsement or representation by Narcotics Anonymous. In accordance with NA tradition, the NA name is not to be used to endorse or be affiliated with any outside enterprise, and no such endorsement or affiliation is implied. Music is by Sage. Thanks for listening to the Voices of Recovery podcast.